Edition of Three Dog Thursday on the Winning Cures Everything platforms. I am the somewhat capable host, TJ Rives. We bow to the owner, the operator, the purveyor of Winning Cures Everything and all of his college football content and the Winning Cures YouTube page, winningcureseverything.com. Hello, Gary Seegers. Good to be back with you as we talk more underdogs again this week in college football against the number. Are we ready for week number 5?
More than ready. I have done way too much prep. I have overthought these games over and over. I like a lot of favorites this week, so I'm glad that I was able to find 3 underdogs that I like. The numbers seem a little off this week. I was kind of surprised by some of these, but yeah, I'm more than ready. How about you? Are you ready?
All I know is we're here to be your life balance with underdogs, brother. You do a great job on this platform, winningcureseverything.com, obviously, but catch Gary with Parker and Kyle on the BetUS college football show Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons, handicapping galore for about 90 minutes each day. Hour and a half each day on BetUS. Free plug there. And we're here on Thursdays. Now, by the way, if you're only hearing us on the Three Dog Thursday podcast feed through Apple, Spreaker, Spotify, come find what we look like on Gary's platform, Winning Cures Everything, the Winning Cures YouTube page. That's where we are, picking underdogs in college football against the number, simply to cover. They don't have to outright win. That's all we're looking for. Last week, we had a decent week. We ended up 3-3. I came home with a couple of them. Thank you, Arkansas on the road with Auburn for an outright win. And did I or did I not say, look out for BYU in Provo in that environment against Kansas State, and they ate them alive. I got 2 of them last week. I'm feeling good. Gary, I got a standard to uphold right now on this week's show real quick.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You are hitting this thing right now.
Yeah, let's hope it continues. And you stuck it out with Bowling Green again last week. And I know we don't do a lot with the dwelling on the if, but you were right there with Georgia Tech and Louisville until Louisville got, what was it, the blocked field goal. It all runs together. Whatever they got at the end of that game, or the turnover in the final minutes of the game to put the game away in a 1-score game. But that was all last week. You know what? None of that does anybody any good for this week here on Three Dog Thursday. So we are ready to move forward with the underdogs. 3 of them simply to cover. And again, if the line goes up or down after today, which may very well happen, it's Three Dog Thursday. This is the same if you're locking it in, your outlet on an app or at the window or whatever. The price Thursday is the price. Thursday afternoon that you and I are gunning for. 3 underdogs against the number each. Why don't you begin things? And are you going where I went last week in the Southeastern Conference? Are you going there? What's underdog number 1?
I am rolling with your Hogs this week. Arkansas +4 against Texas A&M. I know that A&M has won a bajillion of these games in a row, but Bobby Petrino going back up against Texas A&M a year after coaching them. This Arkansas team can be explosive. I like their running attack. This Texas A&M team, while they have looked much better, they're supposedly moving back to Connor Wigman. I really don't like that. I don't think he fits in Colin Klein's offense very well. But when you look at what Arkansas is doing on the offensive side, I think that they're going to be able to run the ball a little bit on this A&M defense. And you know, Taylon Green, I think he'll be able to throw it around a little bit because I think A&M is going to be so keyed on bringing the safeties up a little bit. It's this seems like too many points. I feel like Arkansas's got a little bit of fire right now. I know the way that game played out at Auburn, they got outgained in the game. If it wasn't for turnovers, they probably would have. I mean, it's just I feel like this is a vibe play, and I'm going to roll with Arkansas plus the 4 on this one.
Well, and how about sour grapes galore from Hugh Freeze on his coach's show this week on the radio from Auburn, saying, you know, I love Sam Pittman, but if we played this game again 9 more times, we'd win all 9 times. But you know what? It's not the NBA or the Stanley Cup playoffs. You don't get a best of 7. You get 1 game at it. And Arkansas at Auburn was better than them last week. I love this Taylon Green kid. I'm feeling you on this pick. Fascinating matchup at AT&T Stadium, Jerry's World, here with this matchup on the neutral field. And they're expecting a huge crowd for this as well on kind of the neutral site in the neutral setting. So you will go Arkansas plus the 4. You get beyond the field goal, the key number there. and take Arkansas plus the 4. Fascinating to see, again, the quarterback check. What's behind that, if we know, because I wasn't paying enough attention to A&M last week, because we know when they came to Gainesville a couple of weeks ago and played the University of Florida, not far from where I am, they handled them with the backup quarterback, Gary.
Yes, Marcel Reed. Marcel Reed is the backup, and he's fantastic. So I think they're going to go back to him in this spot eventually, but I think there are enough possessions that Wigman is going to play that I think Arkansas can take advantage.
All right, so that's Underdog number 1 on 3 Dog Thursday. If you're just finding us on the video show, we are live on this Thursday afternoon. If you're only hearing us on the podcast feed, come see the video at winningcureseverything.com, the Winning Cures YouTube page. We hang out with Gary Seegers, who is a most gracious host to help us out here on 3 Dog Thursday. All right, Underdog number 1. I have to bring this up in the vein of my Memphis Tigers could not stand prosperity, and you're right there in the Mid-South. After the key win over Florida State that they had been looking for and the good start, they go up to Annapolis, and they got run all over throughout that game and scored on throughout that game, whether you want to call it a letdown. What a disappointment. How about they ran like over 90 plays in a regulation game, had over 650 yards of offense, Gary, as you know, Memphis, scored 44 points in the game and lost the game.
Well, had a shot to win it at the end. If
sure, but still with all of that, they lost the game. All right, so I'm bemoaning Memphis. I'm wondering how good Navy is. Now Navy on the road at UAB, Trent Dilfer's team. Dilfer, the former quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, won a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens, knocked around in the NFL, been known more as a broadcaster in recent years. All right, speaking of Arkansas, when last we saw UAB, they played Arkansas tough. It was a tie game at the half. It's a one-score game in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes to go. They end up losing but covering 37-27 in that game. Now they've had a week off. They're playing the Naval Academy, who had a tremendous win last week, but it's got to come on the road. Am I crazy to look at UAB as a home doggy right away, early start time Saturday, and say, give me the Blazers. Give me the Blazers and the points as a home dog. You care to advise me away from this in any way?
Okay, so my numbers on this, my stats model has Navy by 12. My power rating plus stats has got Navy by 9.1. And just pure power rating, if we include 3 points for home field advantage, then it's right where it's supposed to be, 3.5, right? I'm wary on this. The schedule spot certainly makes sense, right? Huge win over Memphis last week. Now you got to go down to Birmingham. It's, it is what it is. UAB is not very good. And last year, a bad version of Navy beat UAB 31-6. And their defensive coordinator, who, let's see, Volker. Volker is the defensive coordinator for Navy. And it's really Brian Newberry's defense, but it shut down what Trent Dilfer was trying to do on offense.
Right.
And they basically played guys up close to the line of scrimmage, dared them to throw it deep, and Zeno couldn't find anybody deep. So I'm wary on this because the schedule spot certainly says to bet UAB.
But Zeno was good against Arkansas, an SEC team.
Yes.
He threw a couple of touchdowns in that game, including in the second half, to get him within 3.
This is true. I'm a little wary on it.
You're ambivalent. I can tell.
I think the Navy's better, but man, the spot just, especially at the price, I mean, it begs you to take UAB.
All right.
Actually, let me take that back. It's begging you to take Navy.
Sure.
It's because most people at this point are going to take it when it's that short of a line. Your side feels contrarian, and that's exactly where you want to be.
I'm playing home doggy off the bye week. Zeno, an experienced quarterback. Dilfer's an offensive mind. Fascinating situation for them to get some footing back on this season. That is Underdog number 1 for me. That is the UAB Blazers and 2.5. And by the way, whether you're talking about this game, whether you're talking about the Arkansas Texas A&M game that Gary mentioned at Jerry's World at AT&T Stadium, we've got to talk Alabama, Georgia later on in this show in Tuscaloosa. Whether you're talking about Michigan hosting Minnesota, UCF and Colorado is a fascinating game in the Sunshine State, or all the way out west. USC's first ever Big Ten home game is Wisconsin at the Coliseum. Crazy. It should be a Rose Bowl, but instead it's at the Coliseum. as a regular season game. If you're talking about any of these games, you see our sponsor on the screen. Again, if you're in podcast form, you're not seeing it, just pay attention. Ticket Smarter mobile app. If you're trying to go to any of these big time matchups, Clemson playing Stanford, for example, this week, the Ole Miss Kentucky game, on and on. A couple of fascinating Big 12 games between like Oklahoma State, Kansas State. I already made mention of UCF, Colorado. How about Arizona and Utah late night, Saturday night? If you're going to any of these games, Ticket Smarter mobile app. They have the best prices on the secondary market. Your purchase is safe and secure, and use the promo codes that are on the screen right here. If you're buying a ticket and your order is $100 or more, use WCE10 to take $10 off. But Gary, if you're trying to get the better seats, a pair of the better seats, are you kidding me? For Arkansas and A&M, for Alabama and Georgia, if you're trying to get the better seats, even at the Coliseum for USC, Wisconsin, how about Notre Dame, Louisville in South Bend? You're going to spend $300. $300 or more purchase, take $20 off with the promo code WCE20 with Ticket Smarter, the Ticket Smarter mobile app. You see it right there on the screen. Your purchase safe and secure, best prices on the secondary market with their algorithms. Compare and find out what you're going to get all across the board in college football. Get in the game. Think smarter, Ticket Smarter, promo code WCE20 for the $20 discount, $300 or more purchase. We recommend that you do so. All right, let's continue. Second underdog on this Three Dog Thursday program for you. Where are you? I'm curious. Are you staying in the state of Texas? The stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas again for you, my friend.
Yes, I am. I'm moving over to Houston this time. NRG Stadium, we got a nice non-con battle. We got Conference USA going up against the Sun Belt. Sam Houston is an 8.5-point underdog to Texas State. And this Sam Houston team feels pretty maybe they're a little bit undervalued here, right? Texas State, still a really good football team, obviously. My stats model makes Sam Houston a favorite in this game. And I'm catching 8.5 points. Power rating wise, I've still got Texas State favored by like 5. But the stats love Sam Houston in this spot. They've played a much more difficult strength of schedule thus far on the season as opposed to Texas State, who has played number 127 current strength of schedule. Sam Houston, number 50, which the 127 should let you know exactly what you need to know about Arizona.
Sure.
Arizona State, still not that good, and UTSA has just fallen off of a cliff, right? Sam Houston State, I mean, just absolutely walloped a couple of teams that you might not have felt like they should have. They got walloped by UCF. But you start looking at some of these numbers, they're pretty good against the pass, which is one of the things that Texas State likes to do. They throw the ball over 50% of the time. And as far as running, they're not great at defending the rush, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that the numbers are a bit skewed because of the UCF game. Texas State is not as good as UCF when it comes to running the football. This feels like it should be a one-possession game. I'm getting 8.5.
Yes, you are.
I would not be shocked if Sam Houston found a way to win this game. KC Keeler, fantastic coach. I know GJ Kinney is the hot thing right now, but don't count out that old dog. All right, KC Keeler plus 8.5 for Sam Houston State.
Like that, we got Bearcats and Bobcats here in this matchup for Sam Houston and Texas State. Texas State played tough, as you mentioned, with Arizona State out of the Big 12, newly out of the Big 12. So Gary says doggy number 2. He stays in the state of Texas. Sam Houston State plus the 8.5. It is Three Dog Thursday. I am merely TJ Rives. He's Gary Seegers of the Winning Cures Everything platforms, winningcureseverything.com, Winning Cures YouTube page. Thank you for finding us. I come and cohabitate here on Thursdays. Gary's got such fantastic content with all the game previews, the insight, the analysis, the written content on winningcureseverything.com. I love getting to come and hang on Thursdays here on the program. And by the way, Gary has been checking up on me, and many have as well. I'm in West Central Florida in Tampa Bay. We literally do this live on Thursday with Hurricane Helene out in the Gulf of Mexico. And this storm, my Lord, is no joke. Luckily, though, Gary, it is some 100 miles or so to the west of where we are in Tampa Bay. So we're not bearing the brunt. We haven't gotten a lot of wind and rain yet. I'm told later this afternoon that we're going to have some later this evening. Tallahassee, Florida, my goodness, in the panhandle to the north, is likely going to take a hit here of a Category 3 or a Category 4 hurricane. And this thing's going to accelerate through South Georgia as a Category 1 hurricane, come up through Atlanta, and then end up in Kentucky by Friday night. In a day and a half, it's going to go from the middle of the Gulf of Mexico up into Kentucky. That's how fast it's moving.
And then it's supposed to whip back around and come back to Memphis on
this is
afternoon.
Crazy with the weather. So everybody stay safe that's in the path of this. Again, for Florida State, they are due to play Southern Methodist, SMU, Saturday night. They were trying to get their last practice in today and then get out of Tallahassee for this game with SMU in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Crazy. And the sports is secondary. I get that. I understand that, but we're hanging in there. Thank you, Gary, for checking up on me. A lot of people have checked up on us in the Tampa Bay area. If you're on the coastline, the West Coast line, it's going to be much more dangerous with storm surge of 5 feet, 7 feet, maybe even 10 feet of flooding from the Gulf of Mexico washing in on the West Coast. I'm enough inland. There's a lot of people that are not going to be in the same kind of jeopardy as those on the coastline, but everybody stay safe. Stay safe with this hurricane as it's going. All right, I owe you a second underdog. Yes, while all of this unfolds, I'm looking the way of a Big 12 doggy here. We go back to last Friday night and Illinois' win over Nebraska. Did we ever think, I'm a little older than you, did we ever think we would utter the phrase about Nebraska football, which was so dominant forever in the 70s, the 80s, even into the 90s, into the mid-90s? They've now lost Nebraska after losing that game to Illinois, who's in the top 25, 25 straight games to top 25 teams. That's incredible. That where have you gone, insane. Tom Osborne? So we credit Illinois, but what in the world is wrong with Nebraska? It doesn't matter who the coach is. You go back to Scott Frost, go back to whomever, Mike Riley, Bill Callahan's probably part of this, got fingerprints all over it. They've lost 25 straight games to top 25 teams in Lincoln. So Illinois gets that win in overtime with Altmaier, the quarterback, with Brett Bielema and the physical play up front. Now they go to Penn State. What to make of Penn State after an early season thumping of West Virginia? They had trouble, and you called it on Three Dog Thursday. They had trouble with Bowling Green at home, losing in the second half. They go on to win the game, but they didn't cover, didn't come close to covering. What were you getting, like 35 points, something like that in that game, Gary?
So Penn State, 35.
Penn State, you were getting like 35 points. All right, so then they destroy, Kent last time out. Kent State's not any good. I believe that's correct.
It scored with like a minute left in the game to hit the spread and to hit the over. So,
but those things aren't supposed to matter, right? They don't pay attention to them, but they actually did. Okay, my point is we don't know what to make of Penn State the last couple of weeks. We do know that Illinois also has a win over Kansas in this situation as well. Earlier in the week, it was 17. Am I correct? I'm getting 18 and a half right now. What do you have it as a live line on Three Dog Thursday? I'm looking at Illinois like 18 and a half, right?
Yeah, last I saw was 18. All right, so DraftKings and Caesars both have 18s.
18, all right. Fair enough.
Rivers has an 18 and a half.
Yeah, but you know what?
It's not as widely available. But,
I'm above the 2 touchdown limit here on the road. I'm even above 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions here on the road that I'm getting to start this game. The only thing that concerns me for James Franklin's, there's a couple things. James Franklin's team has got a lot of experience. He's got Drew Aller, who's an excellent quarterback. He's got running backs. Nick Singleton can run the football. Abdul Carter in that defense. Okay, those things would concern me. But you and I were doing original research for Three Dog Thursday. What is the number? It is between a 4 and 19-point favorite. Is that correct?
4 and 20.
Between a 4 and 20-point favorite. So this did not apply to your Bowling Green game with Penn State, but it does apply here. That when James Franklin is between a 4 and 20-point favorite, he's won 16 games in a row and covered all 16 of them. Am I correct?
That is
correct.
And
that applies to the West Virginia opening game this year and the previous 15 times that they have been either a 4-point or in the range of 20-point underdog. They've covered them all. I am bucking that trend, Gary, on Three Dog Thursday. Give me a final thought on Illinois at Penn State primetime NBC game.
Illinois 6 straight covers as a double-digit road dog. Bielema
I
knows
like
how
that.
to. Yeah,
I
he knows
like
how to
that.
coach in these spots, right? Like at Bielema, he's going to have a good offensive line. He's going to have a good defensive line. And this year, Luke Altmaier with Zachary Franklin that transferred in. He was at UTSA, went to Ole Miss for a year, didn't get on the field. Now he's up there with Barry Lundy Jr., the offensive coordinator that he used to have at UTSA, and all of a sudden the passing offense works. I mean, they are really, really good. Number 13 in predicted points added per pass on the season. They are number 28 in passing explosiveness. Penn State starting safety is out right now. We'll see exactly what that means. I mean, they've still got talented guys back there. That's
No
not a
doubt.
huge issue. But yeah, I mean, there's a reason, obviously, power ratings wise, stats wise. Even my stats model has Penn State by 19 or 19 and a half here. Power rating only has it by like 17 and a half. So it's right in the range.
Right.
But I could see where you're going with this. I mean, most certainly, Illinois is not exactly an easy out.
Again, I got concerns. It's a second straight week on the road after winning that emotional game with Nebraska. Penn State's got weapons. Yep. Penn State's got weapons. This will be, remember, this was the game in what was it, the 2021 season where Illinois played at State College and they kept playing the new formatted overtime with
overtimes.
They played one play from the 2-yard line over and over again, and neither one of them could score from the 2-yard line. It went like
9 overtimes. It was 20-18.
Yes, it went like 6 straight 2-point play overtimes. One play to get a score where neither one of them scored. No one could figure out how to win in that game, and eventually Illinois did win it. I don't know that it'll be anything crazy like that, but give me the Illini here, even though I'm a little skittish with that original research, and it is on the road for a second straight week. I'll take them. It's a ton of points, 18.5 points on 3-Dog Thursday. All right, we still have 2 more underdogs to go. Stand by for that. But we've also got another sponsor here on the program on the Winning Cures Everything platform. Let's tell you about our friends at Go Sleeves. Go Sleeves, GoSleeves.com. If you are a weekend warrior in particular, you got the bad knees, Gary Seegers, you got the bad calf, you got the bad elbow. If you are trying to run, play tennis, bike, basketball, golf, look at what Go Sleeves can do for you. It's a couple of things. They're therapeutic for the blood flow and help with the inflammation and managing your pain. Again, for your knees, for your calves. Go Sleeves has tremendous therapeutic technology. And again, take a look on the video screen. If you're not seeing us, come find this. You'll see different athletes working out with these sleeves for the knees, the elbows, the calves. If you're a tennis player, a golfer, a runner, Go Sleeves, GoSleeves.com. It is go time as part of 3-Dog Thursday. Go check them out at GoSleeves.com. We got a promo code that is on the way as well from Winning Cures Everything for some discount. But they are a proud sponsor of what we're doing here on 3-Dog Thursday and Gary's Winning Cures Everything platforms. It is go time with Go Sleeves and all
That's
of
that.
Right.
Hey, the link, by the way, should be, I would think by the end of the day, because I just saw another email. I haven't read it yet.
All right. So it should be
GoSleeve.com/WCE.
WCE is your promo code for Winning Cures Everything. Again, therapeutic stuff. If you've got the aching knees, problems with the calf or the Achilles, these things are therapeutic. GoSleeves.com/WCE to find out more on how to get some therapeutic relief. We love it with Go Sleeves as a sponsor on 3-Dog Thursday. One more underdog, young man, from each of us. Where are you headed for underdog number 3?
I think we're going to agree on this one, and we're going to Tuscaloosa.
Ooh.
We got Alabama as a home dog for the first time since 2007. TJ,
Hello.
do you remember who that team was that was last favored over Alabama at home?
That's got to be LSU, right around the time of the LSU.
Right.
That's the national championship season, right? For LSU, the BCS titles.
Right?
Yeah.
But they were undefeated in regulation.
You know me, and I'm doing this for the video audience, that I have these two, my twin daughters, Riley and Abby, and I equate everything pre-twins, post-twins. So the twins are 16 years old. You're telling me the last time that Alabama was a home underdog is pre-twins right now. It's been that long. So what leads you to the Tide in this instance?
So looking at the numbers, obviously, and that's a dangerous thing, right? Because if you're on the Georgia side, you're looking at Georgia didn't play well at Kentucky. They've had a bye week, and they've had Kirby barking in their ear for 2 straight weeks about how they didn't look good against Kentucky. On the other side, this is not the same Alabama team that Georgia is used to playing, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, right? We'll just have to see. Kalen DeBoer is more aggressive than Nick Saban's teams were, and I think that the coaching staff is actually better than what Saban had over the past few years towards the end of his reign there. You start to look at power rating, etc. Alabama has jumped Georgia in the majority of power ratings. They're number 4 in PPA margin. That's predicted points added. Georgia is number 13. Now, Georgia has played a tougher strength of schedule, right? They looked fantastic against Clemson, and Clemson has looked like just world beaters ever since then.
Right.
But then there was the Kentucky game, and it is what it is. Georgia's only played 3 games. Alabama's only played 3 games. Only 3 data points. We're not quite sure what to make of it. But I still believe, and the numbers would not bear this out, right? Because this Georgia defense against the pass is number 4 in PPA per pass, but teams are only throwing on them 40% of the time. You look at who they've played: Clemson, Kentucky, Tennessee Tech. These are teams that are not exactly flinging the ball around a bunch. Now, Clemson has looked better since that game, but they're not known for throwing the ball, especially with Cade Klubnik. But Alabama, they're only throwing the ball 40% as well, but they are number 8 in PPA per pass, number 3 in passing explosiveness. Georgia has not seen athletes like what Alabama is going to have running down the field on post routes on Saturday night. That's a way that Alabama could certainly get this done. I think Alabama's going to be able to run the ball too. Alabama number 9 in PPA per rush. They're number 3 in rushing explosiveness. When it comes to offensive line yards, stuff rate, those things are basically a wash between these two. But Georgia last year was not great at stopping the run, and you saw it in that SEC championship game. They used Milroe's legs a little bit, used both of the running backs as well. You got Justice Haynes, you got Jam Miller, both of those guys. I feel good about Alabama's offensive line now that they are healthy and set up to be able to go into this game with Proctor and Pritchett on the tackles, right? Booker has moved back to a guard. That's where he's supposed to be. This offensive line can be dominant. I'm not so sure about Georgia's. Ratledge, the stud guard for them, he is their highest rated PFF passing blocker. He is maybe going to play, maybe not. It looks like he's probably not going to play. He didn't play towards the end of the Kentucky game. I'm not sure exactly what to make of this.
Right.
But this is the best competition that either team has played thus far. I got the home team at night with a coach think about this. DeBoer coached against Dan Lanning. I think Dan Lanning is the closest thing to Kirby Smart that we've got as far as another active head coach right now. And he's been an underdog to him 3 times, and he's won outright 3 times. Well, now he's an underdog to Kirby Smart, and he's at home on a Saturday night, big-time spot. I like Alabama.
This is why you take the job if you're Kalen DeBoer for games like this. And I had the privilege of doing the 2020 Alabama-Georgia game for what it's worth on national radio, and Alabama handled them that night. Different group, because that was Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, and company back then in 2020, and won that game. But they've had mastery over Georgia as a program. You mentioned the SEC title game, and we know this as another data point, that the last time we saw these two teams, Georgia had to scratch, claw, hunker down, you hairy dogs, against Kentucky, and Alabama breezed in a blowout at Wisconsin. I know that Van Dyke, the quarterback, got hurt for Wisconsin right away, but Alabama just boat raced them in Madison. That's the last time out for them. Can I agree? Hand in hand, we go off the cliff together. Let's go Alabama. You and I agree for 3 Dog Thursday for underdog number 3 plus the 2. A couple of people are in your live chat. I see it asking about Georgia and saying, hey, I'm seeing where the line has dipped down to 1.5 or 1. Again, for 3 Dog Thursday, we only care about what it's doing live on this show. Do you anticipate this could swing and could become a situation where Alabama's maybe favored by Friday night or even by Saturday night? Gary, what's your theory on that?
My theory is, so I'm seeing, I just updated Georgia by 1.5 at BetMGM, 2 at Caesars, 1.5 at FanDuel, 2 at DraftKings, BetRivers 1.5. I think you're going to see, if it gets down to 1 or anywhere close to a pick'em, I think you're going to see sharp money come back on the Georgia side.
Interesting.
But we'll see, because this thing was 4.5 last week when it opened up. So there's certainly there's sentiment on both sides of the market.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll say that.
Okay, so fair enough. There, we both like Alabama as underdog number 3. Remaining couple of moments here. Again, on the Winning Cures Everything platforms, we're doing this live for 3 Dog Thursday. TJ Rives, Gary Seegers. Gary does a tremendous job on this platform, as I always like to say, with all of his content for all the games. We hone in on underdogs, 3 of them each. If I say to you, USC off the tough loss at Michigan, Big Ten opener. How weird is that to verbalize? Big Ten opening loss at Ann Arbor. Now at home, first ever Big Ten home game with Wisconsin, the same Badgers who got throttled by Alabama. What do you make of that? I stayed long and far away from Wisconsin here in this situation. Do you make anything of that? And the big spread, again, it's a CBS 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern time game in the Big Ten. Any thought real quick?
I tend to lean USC in this spot. I don't think that Braden Locke, the quarterback for Wisconsin, I don't think he and that offense are going to be able to keep up here. I think USC at home, the defense certainly looked okay, but maybe better than okay. Right?
Gave up a lot of run yards. They gave up a lot of run yards in the game with Michigan.
But those were on like big plays, right? And I don't think Wisconsin has that explosive ability the same way that Michigan did. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like USC is going to have an easier time scoring against Wisconsin's defense as opposed to Michigan's, especially when they're at home. Yeah, I kind of like USC.
And Wisconsin just overwhelmed by Alabama's speed on both sides of the ball. Let's see if that translates.
You got more of it here.
Yes, with Southern Cal. Let's see if that translates for them. One more, and you guys, again, to plug the BetUS show, went in depth, you and Parker and Kyle, on Notre Dame and Louisville. I looked at Jeff Brom's Louisville Cardinals a couple of ways, but I looked at you guys and your advice as well. Notre Dame at home. I'm staying away. But any quick thought just here for this audience on 3 Dog Thursday and Winning Cures Everything on Louisville, Notre Dame, and South Bend?
When this thing opened, it opened at 9.5 and it got bet way down. It was 5.5, something like that. You saw Notre Dame money come back in. It's sitting at 6.5 right now, and that is across the board. Every single book that I'm looking at has 6.5. If it hits 7, there will be immediate buyback on Louisville. I would be part of that, but I can't touch it at less than a touchdown. We don't know enough about Louisville because what have we seen out of them, right? They returned a fumble for a touchdown last week. They returned a block kick for a touchdown. That's how they got the cover against Georgia Tech. And then they played 2 tomato cans, as you like to call them.
That's
correct.
All
we've seen out of them. But to be fair, Ja'Cory Brooks, Tyler Shuck, the quarterback, Louisville has weapons, and that defense is actually pretty good. Who knows what version of Notre Dame shows up? Who knows? And
Riley Leonard played very well for them in their last contest. Let's see for Notre Dame. By the way, you've got somebody, I think in the live comments, it's Joe Bio, who's asking about Washington Friday night at Rutgers. My man Tim Brando is doing that game on Fox with Devin Gardner on the national TV broadcast. I was around Tim, and here's the picture with Tim and the legendary voice of the Buccaneers, Gene Deckerhoff, and me. He was then doing the Buccaneer Bronco game after having done that Illinois game with Nebraska, and flew to Tampa all day Saturday after doing that game in Lincoln, Nebraska on Friday night. Now he's the Friday night Fox broadcaster with Devin Gardner. What about Washington at Rutgers? The viewer that's watching us live wants to know about Washington outright. Your thought?
So you're looking at 2 points right now. So I mean, your outright on that is not crazy. There's a couple of 2.5s out there. This cross country on a short trip, and you're going up against a Schiano offensive and defensive line. I don't feel great about that. Rutgers looks like a pretty legitimate team, and I don't know what to make of Washington still. Like I want to see them in more spots than this. I would stay away from this. Like I'm not touching that game because I think that Rutgers is probably the better team. Man, that thing hit 3, and you got sharp action back on Washington almost immediately. It opened 1.5, it got up to 3, and now it's been sitting in 2.5 land for basically all week.
Stay away from Gary on 3 Dog Thursday. Stay away quickly. UCF, Colorado, is that line about right? UCF a 14-point favorite in Orlando. Colorado off the Hail Mary win has to go on the road here. Is that about right?
That thing has been, so my number on that was actually, so my stats model had UCF by 20. My regular model had UCF by like 15 and a half.
Wow.
Right now it's 14 and a half at FanDuel, but 14 everywhere else. And, this is one that I kind of feel like UCF is just going to mush them into the ground.
Right. Run it with RJ Harvey. You're saying the running back
and Penny Boone and KJ Jefferson. They're going to run the Gus Malzahn offense, right? And Colorado, we know, is not good at stopping the run. The numbers have looked okay, but when you watch them, I mean, they just get manhandled on that defensive line. So UCF's going to do what they do. The issue for me with not betting this game is UCF. I bet it when it was 13, but that was before I really got a chance to break it down. So it wasn't a huge bet. It was just on the opener. I had it at 13 and boom. The problem is that UCF's secondary is not great. And when I say not great, I'm talking like actually really bad as far as the advanced analytics go. They're like in the 120s in basically every advanced stat that you can come up with. If they can't get pressure on Shedeur Sanders, it could be a long day because Shedeur's got, Will Shepherd is back there who dropped a touchdown before that Baylor, Hail Mary win. But they got the Wester.
Ford.
Of course, you got Travis Hunter. You got Joe Horn Jr. They got weapons everywhere.
Sure.
In that receiving core, and they only run the ball like 30% of the time.
But the other problem is they don't play defense. Colorado, they still haven't. So yeah, that your point may be well taken. They may get ground Buffalo. Ground up in Orlando on Saturday afternoon. All right, so we gave you a bunch on 3 Dog Thursday. Let's talk again about what we're officially doing by means of recap. You have Arkansas and the 4 against Texas A&M, neutral field Saturday, Jerry's World, AT&T Stadium, Arlington, Texas. You have Sam Houston State staying in Texas against Texas State, getting a bunch of points, 8.5 at home. Oh, yeah. And then you and I agree on Alabama. Alabama was your third dog at home against Georgia. Why are they not favored? I don't understand that. So you and I agree on that. My other two are UAB staying in the state of Alabama with Navy. Navy a letdown after beating my Memphis Tigers. UAB early start will win the game at home. Give me those points. And Illinois to keep it close at Penn State, getting 18.5. What did you say? The last 10 times Illinois has last six times they've been a double-digit road dog they have covered. Let's see what happens in the matchup with Penn State. With that, my friend, I think we're good. Final comments, final thoughts here on the program. Anything else?
It's going to be a fun weekend. This is a massive, massive game on Saturday night. And, new coach at Alabama going up against Kirby. It doesn't get any bigger than that. So this is going to be a big weekend.
It's going to be tremendous in Tuscaloosa and a lot of other places. In Los Angeles, pick one. Sneaky games out of the Big 12, like Utah hosting Arizona, I think could be very fascinating as well. That Colorado game with UCF is going to be good. Clemson, Stanford, intriguing for different reasons. What's going to happen with Ole Miss and Kentucky? One thing is for sure, we love breaking down the underdogs. Again, stay on this platform for everything with winningcureseverything.com. All the college football, Winning Cures YouTube page. We talk specifically underdogs with 3 Dog Thursday. Gary Seeger's great stuff. Good luck with your underdogs, my friend.
And with you, my friend.
All right, I'm merely TJ Rives. Whether you're only hearing us, come see us on the Winning Cures YouTube platform. Hear us on podcast, Apple, Spreaker, Spotify. We talk underdogs each and every week in college football on 3 Dog Thursday. Bye.